friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are finally going to be diving into the balletcore aesthetic, so buckle up because this is going to be a long one. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. I am not gonna lie, I filmed this whole entire video only to discover that the microphone was not working. So we're trying it again. Today we're diving into the balletcore aesthetic. We're going to be talking about the history of ballet, the influences of fashion on ballet, and then ballet's influence on fashion. We'll be talking about the ins and outs of the aesthetic, the specs, so to say, criticisms, and then I'll also be sharing with you guys the thoughts of two ballerinas in our community who I actually reached out to and asked a few questions about their perception of ballet becoming a fashion aesthetic. Then at the very end of the video, I'll be styling 4 outfits for you guys inspired by this aesthetic to give you a bit of outfit inspiration if you decide that this is an aesthetic that's interesting to you. But before we jump in, don't forget to pause, go down below, and hit that subscribe button. It's totally free, and I'll let you know when I upload new videos. I upload fashion-related content, everything from thrifting to styling to fashion, aesthetic exploration, and more. Now, without further ado, let's jump right on in. So to give you guys a little bit of background, I actually did do ballet growing up. I think if I remember correctly, I probably danced for about 8 years. I did tap jazz, hip hop, and ballet. I only stopped doing it after my family moved from New York to Virginia, but it was definitely something I really loved. During that time, and even now, balletcore has never really been an aesthetic that I participated in regularly. I really enjoy playing with balletcore from time to time, though if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you would know that my main sort of bread and butter aesthetics are certainly cottagecore, the light and dark academia aesthetics, whimsigoth, soft girl, coastal granddaughter, and then the occasional alternative sort of grunge kind of style. But overall, balletcore is definitely an aesthetic I've been really interested in learning more about, and one I've been interested in playing with a little bit more. So hopefully together we can learn a bit more about balletcore. So now let's just dive right on in to the history of ballet. I do have a little slideshow presentation I'll be referring back to. It's right in front of me here, so if I'm looking down, that's where I'm looking. So the history of ballet, the art form, the dance. Ballet was first created in the 1400s in Italian Renaissance courts. It's unclear who actually created the dance, but Louis XIV is credited with expanding the dance's popularity and aiding it in becoming the dance we know and love today. For much of ballet's early history, many of the women recruited to be a part of the ballet were actually from lower income or lower class families. These women also were regularly subjected to sexual exploitation and were in fact expected to remain mute, as they had a silent art form, which in many ways prevented them from standing up for themselves or from making any sort of noticeable impact in culture. And of course, we're talking the 1400s, so women really didn't have autonomy over themselves. The ballet, however, was eventually, quote, codified and professionalized in France in the mid-17th century and was elevated to a supreme art form in Russia in the late 19th century. Patricia Mears writes in the introduction of Ballerina, Fashion's Modern Muse. It's actually the book that I got a lot of my information and research from. This one right here, 10 out of 10 recommend. It's honestly a very interesting read. The dance's growing popularity and glorification in the 20th century is largely credited, however, with its successful expansion in England and America. Now, how did fashion influence the ballet? Let's break that down. From its creation in the 15th century up until World War I, it's a lot of time, guys, the relationship between fashion and ballet was mostly one-sided, with fashion having a far greater influence on ballet than the ballet itself having on fashion. In fact, the latest fashion trends were regularly seen on the stage of the ballet. However, the ballet very rarely had this sense of innovation that translated into the fashion industry. As the art form expanded geographically, however, its influence on fashion did begin to grow, particularly in the West. Vogue, a prominent fashion magazine then and now, played a really big part in expanding the influence of ballet when it started to print articles on the pervasiveness of the ballet in culture. Further, American and British ballerinas very quickly became the standard of beauty, i.e. small frames and soft features. The quote-unquote ballet uniform, a corseted tutu dress, also served as inspiration for many leading fashion designers at the time. This is a style we once again started to see again with brands like Selkie, Ava Gowns, the Mitoshi sisters. they really play with this sort of voluminous tulle skirts and the more corseted tops. In the 19th century, urban development exploded and theaters proliferated, leading to the growth in commercial production of costumes and ball gowns, ultimately intersecting theater and fashion and positioning the ballet as an influence on fashion and design. This is when things sort of started to shift, and instead of fashion solely having an influence on the ballet began to influence haute couture designers and the fashion scene in general. Haute couture designers turned to the ballet for inspiration from the interwar period to the mid-century. The golden age of ballet's influence on fashion is considered to be between the 1930s and the 1970s. Now, I do think it's important to note here that the fashions that ballet influenced don't always match up with what we think of today when we think of ballet fashion. In fact, just before World War I, the ballet was credited with, quote, igniting the craze for Orientalist-style turbans, harem pants, and tunics made with vibrant colored fabrics. These styles seemingly drew more influence from Eastern cultures, which I think is quite interesting, but not unexpected to have translated to the West. By the 1930s, the quote-unquote ballerina had emerged, and the ballet was maintaining a large amount of influence in both high and low fashion. At this time, the ballet began to look at Romantic and Victorian styles for inspiration, which is a bit closer to what we think of when we think of ballet style today. By 1932, leading fashion magazines such as Vogue and Harper's Bazaar were regularly publishing articles about ballets and leading or prima ballerinas. The relationship between fashion and ballet reached a pinnacle in the 1940s and 50s, with designers such as Christian Dior, Pierre Balmain, and Charles James creating ballet-inspired costumes, tulle gowns, and costumes for the stage. Dior also dressed several prominent ballerinas, including Margot Fonteyn, Ruth Page, and Maria Tallchief. Ballet's influence on fashion began to wane in the 1960s with the rise of youth culture and the decline in high fashion. It did, however, see a resurgence in the new millennium. And that brings us to today. With the rising popularity of fashion aesthetics, the growing trend of wearing athleisure in everyday life, and the increased rate in trend cycles, ballet-style clothing have once again become more popular through the aesthetic we love and know as balletcore. Fashion houses such as Miu Miu aided to the booming return of balletcore when it sent its iconic 2016 ballet flats down the runway for its autumn-winter 2022 show. The shoes were even dubbed the shoe of the season by celebrity Rosalita. So now that we have a little bit of a background on the ballet and the intersection between ballet and fashion, what even is balletcore? So balletcore is a fashion style inspired by performance and practice wear for ballerinas. The aesthetic embodies an elevated athleisure style with soft and feminine styles, silhouettes, and colors. In 2021, New York-based stylist Madeline Jones told Vogue that she saw the growing popularity of balletcore as the, quote, natural evolution from athleisure. She added that it's, quote, a way to give purpose and elevate from athleisure to something almost theatrical. I have to agree. So what are the specs exactly? The color palette includes pastel pinks, lavenders, baby blues, sage greens, butter yellows, tans, browns, blacks, whites, and grays. The motifs include sweetheart necklines, bows, laces or tie straps, lace appliques, embroidery, glitter, sheer clothing, lightweight materials, tulle, puff sleeves, gentle ruffles, applique details, and donut buns. As for garments worn within this aesthetic, I've put together a non-exhaustive list, but here's a pretty extensive one that I've got for you. Bodysuits, workout onesies, jeans, joggers, bike shorts, leg warmers, tights, wrap skirts and dresses, tulle skirts and dresses, mini or midi, corset tops, close-fitted tops, lace camisoles, off-the-shoulder or one-shoulder tops, tube tops that are simple, sort of just the plain fabric-colored tube tops, close-fitted Henleys, simple sweaters, cardigans, slouchy sweaters, boleros, shrugs, wrap tops, ballet flats, Ugg boots, simple sneakers, costumey heels, matching athleisure sets, flared leggings, claw clips, tote bags, and ribbon bows. Okay, now that we've talked about the aesthetic, the specs, what it is, let's talk about some of the criticisms, which have actually become so pervasive. There are dozens of articles on the criticisms of this aesthetic. Now, off the bat, we're going to talk about the socioeconomic disadvantages of the ballet and sort of how it shifted from being an art form that preyed is a very strong word, but kind of preyed on young women from low income or lower class families and exploited them. And then it transitioned as it became codified and solidified as a mainstay in Russian and French culture, and then eventually in Western cultures as well. It began to become very elite and very, very exclusive, with the things needed to be a part of this sport or art form being incredibly expensive. Ballet shoes and leotards and costumes and all of the things that were needed, lessons to even learn how to be a part of the ballet, very, very expensive. Then the second layer to this is that ballet for many, many years, and for much of its history even, was extremely exclusionary and only made space for thin white women. So while dance has made some progress in this area, there are still far fewer plus size or mid-size dancers, and there are far fewer dancers of color. Further, I would even say that the inclusion of men in the ballet has been quite exclusionary too, with there being far fewer male ballerinas. Particularly when talking about race, because this is a very big criticism of ballet just as a whole. When we think about the uniforms that were made for ballerinas at the beginning, they were all sort of these really light pink colors. And as we saw when I, a few weeks ago, tried on that pink wrap skirt, I could barely tell the difference between the skirt and the color of my skin. That's actually exactly what is supposed to happen. The ballet uniform is supposed to be so close to your skin tone in order to really create these fine, detailed, elegant lines. So when ballet costumes were made in these light pink colors, they were catered towards pale white skin instead of skin tones of any other variety. And this is still a pervasive issue within the ballet community, with many dance companies only just sort of starting to branch out and even figure out how to make their companies more inclusive. As recently as 2015, the Paris Opera Ballet was criticized for using blackface in their performances and for the lack of diversity in their company. Now, they have made some changes to begin to end these practices, but like 2015, friends. That is not that long ago. Now, the fashion aesthetic does make a point to separate itself from ballet itself, and it mostly leans into the very hyper feminine, elevated athleisure style that it provides, as opposed to the actual dance. People who participate in it aren't all ballerinas, and in fact, as we'll learn in just a moment, neither of the ballerinas that I spoke to actually do participate in this aesthetic. Now, this can be seen as a positive, as it removes a lot of the trauma, toxicity, racism, and fat phobia seen sort of within the history of ballet. However, it can also be seen as a negative, as it actively ignores the problematic past and history of the sport or art form. Now, that separation from the dance form itself has actually been the source of strife for some in the ballet community, with some of them feeling like there is no appreciation for the discipline and training that is required to participate in this art form being acknowledged. Another layer to this is that some within the ballet community are feeling a bit excluded, as they're seeing fast fashion brands turn out ballet-inspired clothing at such a fast rate that it's actually taking away revenue from boutique ballet companies. Now, this is also a multi-layered issue, as boutique ballerina and ballet companies do certainly have a purpose. I'm so sure that their products are higher quality, they last longer, they're probably designed much better with the thoughts of dance and ballet in mind, whereas fast fashion brands obviously aren't catered towards those people who are within the dance community. They're more catered towards the trendy consumer. But it's like these boutique brands are so expensive that everyday average people can't afford that to just try out, and fast fashion brands are able to create these pieces in a way that are affordable. It's a very nuanced topic. I feel like we like to see black and white and everything, and I just simply don't think that's the case with almost anything, to be fair. There are certainly some like black and white topics, but there's more nuance and there's more gray area in life than anything else, and I definitely think that in this area the fast fashion conversation is super gray. So those are some of the criticisms surrounding the balletcore aesthetic. Now let's talk about what two of the ballerinas in our community are talking about. So I talked to two ballerinas, Madeline, who's actually a friend of mine from high school. She is my age, so she's 27, and she's been dancing for 24 years. And then Steffi, who is from northwestern Italy, who's been dancing since 1986. She's now a retired dancer. She's in her 40s, but she danced for a very long time and was very much entrenched in ballet culture. I was really grateful and thankful that both of them were willing to answer the questions I sent to them. So let's just chat a little bit about sort of their perspectives and perceptions of this aesthetic. Up first, I asked them how they felt about the balletcore aesthetic on first impression. Madeline noted that for her it was, quote, a little strange seeing people out in outfits resembling something we do in dance. She recalled that, quote, as a kid, if I was out in public in dance clothes, I would have gotten strange looks, end quote. Can attest to that. I would often go out with my family after dance classes and people would sort of stare. Still, Madeline insisted that ballerinas do not own this style and likely didn't even start the fashion trends seen within this aesthetic, and she's sure, quote, that we copy our fashion from other groups too. Steffi, who started dancing in 1986, as I said she liked the aesthetic and when she was a ballerina would have liked to participate in it. She said, quote, when I was younger we hadn't all these possibilities to inspire ourselves in fashion and from the internet. For example, in my city in the northwest of Italy, there was only one ballet related shop with very few choices at high prices. When asked what items of clothing they would say were staple pieces to building a balletcore wardrobe, Madeline said mock necks, fitted tops, lace, mesh, crochet patterns, high-waisted flowy skirts, ballet flats, and dainty sandals. Steffi pointed to leotards, tutu-inspired skirts, and crossover cardigans. As I said, when asked if either of them participated in the balletcore aesthetic, neither of them said that they do, which I did already know this about Madeline because, as I said, I actually know her. But Steffi said she's much more interested in wearing vintage-inspired clothing, which I think is so fun, and obviously we love that here too. I did ask the ladies, as dancers, what is one thing you would say to someone wanting to try out this aesthetic? Both dancers encourage those interested in trying the aesthetic to just give it a go. Just try it out and have fun with it. Steffi also suggested learning a bit more about ballet and the purposes for certain clothing items like leg warmers and leotards. And Madeline said, don't forget the hair. Hair is a big part of ballet culture, so she said gel back those flyaways and try some fun braided styles. I was curious to see if these women felt like the balletcore aesthetic was a way to honor ballet as an art. And while Steffi said that the balletcore aesthetic is partially an effective way to honor ballet and for participants to draw inspiration from, quote, divas like Isadora Duncan, Margot Fontaine, and our Italian prima ballerina Carla Fraccia, Madeline actually noted that many of the styles she was able to find about balletcore seem a bit outdated and not like what people who are currently in the ballet world are wearing to go to practices. Leg warmers was one thing she specifically pointed to as something that she doesn't see people wearing that regularly anymore. So this is the big honkin' question. So let me read this off for you guys. So I was curious to see how these women felt amid all of the mixed feelings about this aesthetic. So I asked, there are a lot of mixed feelings about the aesthetic within the dance community. Some enjoy the nostalgic nature of the aesthetic and see it as a way to promote inclusivity within the ballet. Others, however, feel it leaves the dance community out by appropriating the style through fast fashion brands instead of boutique ballet brands and without appreciating the discipline needed to be a dancer. Where do you stand on the rising popularity of ballet-inspired dress? Both of these women, I felt like, gave the most wonderful, gracious answers when answering this question, and overall, both of them noted that they hope that the fashion aesthetic's rising popularity would actually inspire people to explore dance and promote diversity and inclusion within the art form, which I think is just so wonderful and such a cool way to look at fashion and how influential and pervasive it can be in culture and growth in a culture. So now that we've heard from our ballerinas, let me style a couple of outfits inspired by the balletcore aesthetic. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's jump right on over. I really wanted to actively speak with you guys as I was trying on these outfits, but the audio on these clips didn't work either, so I'm coming at you with a voiceover. Okay, so starting from the top, I have on this cream colored wrap top that I picked up at the Goodwill. This is a really popular style within the balletcore aesthetic, and I honestly think they're a really versatile piece as you can get them in thicker materials like this one
or thinner materials for warmer weather if you so choose. I decided to pair it with this workout onesie that I picked up on Amazon. I've been seeing all of like the clean girlies wearing these, and I wanted to give it a go. I really like this one because it has padding on the top, so you don't have to worry about wearing something underneath it, and it's honestly really comfortable. I saw a lot of onesies like this in the inspiration. I feel like it is a interesting and different way to play with activewear or athleisure. On the bottom half of this outfit, I went with these little leg warmers that I picked up on Amazon as well, and then I have on my pink ballet flats from Target. I searched high and low for ballet flats that I could buy secondhand, and I could not find any, so I ultimately ended up getting these ones at Target, and honestly they're really cute. For accessories for this outfit, I just went simple. I feel like with balletcore, simple works really well since you are again playing with an athleisure kind of style, so I just went for simple gold hoops and a simple gold chain. I threw my hair up in a donut bun reminiscent of the ballet buns that you see within ballet, and this is sort of the whole look. Outfit number 2 I feel like could very easily be a soft girl outfit, but for this look, starting from the top, I have on this pink cardigan. I thrifted this at the Goodwill as well. I really love the ruffles. I felt like it added that little feminine detail, and of course it's a really soft pink, which is a popular color within this aesthetic. For the top, I got this at Kohl's. I just thought it was so lovely, and it reminded me of the style of tank tops or leotards that are often worn within ballet. It has this sort of faux corset sort of seaming on it, and it also has a cute little bow and a little bit of lace to again add that level of femininity, and it is also reminiscent of ballet costumes. For the bottom half, we're really playing with athleisure. I just have on a pair of black flared leggings, and then I threw on these faux Ugg boots that are from the brand Paws, and I thought these ones were so perfect because they have a tiny black silk bow on the side, which is so balletcore. I often see the pink Ugg boots with the bows up the back in inspiration pictures, and so I loved that I had something similar. In my hair, I just have in this pink little ribbon, and I kept the accessories the same. This next outfit is a new fave. So my top is actually thrifted also from the Goodwill, and I absolutely love it. It's this lovely powder blue color, and the tie straps on the shoulder are my favorite detail ever. I wear this shirt all the time. It is really lovely. It really reminds me of ballet costumes and is again playing with the hyper femininity with the simple accents with the bows. For the skirt, I actually picked up this petticoat on Poshmark. It was technically listed as a tulle skirt, but when it arrived, I realized it was actually a petticoat, which is technically an undergarment, but we're in this era of wearing undergarments as normal clothing pieces, so honestly, I'm embracing it. I absolutely love this. I wore this to the grocery store the other day. I thought that these pieces worked really well together because it kind of gave off the leotard with a tutu kind of vibe, and I honestly love it. For my hair, I just threw in these little butterfly clips that I picked up at Target, and I thought they were a nice way to play with the more glitzy, glamorous headpieces that you often see in ballet performances. And then for my accessories, I threw on this little fairy necklace from my Etsy shop and these little butterfly earrings that I got for my 16th birthday. For shoes, I kept it really simple. I just went with a white sock and my white Adidas sneakers. Really simple, basic sneakers are a go-to within this aesthetic, and I honestly love pairing a really casual shoe with something that feels a bit more elevated, and it feels like such an interesting juxtaposition and sort of is a great way to dress down more formal looking pieces. This last outfit absolutely screams ballet. So up first, I have on this cream color bolero that I picked up from the Old Navy active section a few months ago. And then underneath that, I have on this pink and white checkered lacy camisole. I really love this because lace camisoles are really popular within this aesthetic, but then this one has a pattern that kind of leans into the sort of skater girl style that I really like with this sort of checker print. And so it felt like a fun way to intersect two different types of style that I like. I paired this top with this wrap skirt that I thrifted on Poshmark as well. It's originally from Shein, but like I said last time I showed this skirt off, there are dozens of these skirts on Poshmark, so I 10 out of 10 recommend checking that out before you decide to buy one new if you can help it. I also threw on some white tights, and I thought it was nice to sort of tie in the white of the bolero, and then again my pink ballet flats that are from Target. For accessories, I just threw my little fairy necklace on, and then I kept on those butterfly earrings. I threw my hair in a low bun, and I added in the pink ribbon for some drama. And this is the last look.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I really enjoyed putting this together for you guys. It was honestly so much fun. It was certainly a labor of love. Also, I do have a rather big announcement, I guess. I am going to be taking the rest of the summer off. So the next 3 months, I will not be uploading long form content here on my YouTube channel. I will continue to post short form content. I've been posting lots of shorts here on the channel. If I'm being totally transparent with you guys, I've been feeling pretty burnt out with YouTube and just my life in general, and I've been feeling a bit uneasy with influencer culture, the expectations placed upon people who honestly in a lot of regards just don't deserve the level of authority they're being given. And in a lot of ways it's not something I ever expected. When I started my YouTube channel 10 years ago, it was just so different. I will be taking 3 months off. After that 3 months, if I'm ready to come back, I will. If I'm not, I'm gonna give myself 3 more months. Obviously, I'll keep you guys updated, and of course, like I said, I will continue to upload shorts here and be uploading on Instagram and TikTok. But for now, that's sort of what we're doing with the channel. But I appreciate you guys so much, and honestly, this community is made up of so many really wonderful people. While there are certainly some very mean people on the internet, and they've definitely shown up from time to time on my social media platforms, for the most part I'm really grateful for just the really lovely, kind, caring, and gentle souls that you guys are. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was honestly so much fun to put together, even though I had to re-record it. But anyway, don't forget, it costs absolutely nothing to be kind, so be kind to yourself and others. And I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye!